It's a big day here in the P2 Aero shop. As you can see, I've got the cage and the tail cone positioned up on the table. This table is 4x8, and I have a 4-foot extension on one end currently to help with this specific step. I've used scrap wood and shims to level and plumb everything up, following the plans word for word. I approach this step with caution. It's really the first step that had me feeling like if I messed up here, it's going to cost me. RANS outlines several ways to verify that the tail cone is aligned correctly. You'll see all of that represented throughout this video. I didn't do a good job of capturing the check for twist here by comparing the straight edges across the tail to another one up on the back of the cage. The upper longerons on the lower side skins get cut to a specific length before you put them in place. This also helps get things close during mock-up since they index off the cage at the front. I left a small gap here just so it wouldn't rub during flight. You'll also notice that the lower cage tabs are positioned most inboard in the stack up here. Eddie from RANS has some videos out on YouTube showing this process. In conversation with him, he suggested mocking things up both ways and find out which way works best for your specific cage, since there will be some variation. In my case, with the tabs sandwiched between the doubler and the longeron, the pre-drilled holes in the belly skin were just a bit off from lining up with the longerons on each side. You'll also see that I've spaced the doubler up from the longeron with some razor blades to account for the thickness of the angled floor support that will go there in the final installation. You also compare the firewall angle to the upper longerons. This is called out as 88.9 degrees plus or minus 0.2. I use the app that comes on every iPhone to do this initially, but it doesn't show you a decimal reading, so I found another app that would go to that level of accuracy. The only issue there is it didn't have the ability to zero out on a given surface, so I just had to do some math to figure out the difference in the two readings. I also verified this with a smart level prior to drilling any holes just to make sure that the phones are accurate. In the end, I found that the phones are very accurate and consistent. Some of the build photos on RANS.com show a measurement from the cage back to the tail. This was also checked. Any adjustment to any of these steps causes you to go back and redo the other checks. This took some time to get them all within spec, but once I was happy, I started transfer drilling the holes through the cage gussets out through the skins and longerons. The lower gussets are pretty close to the floor, and I suppose an angle head drill would be the ticket if you had one. I tend to lean back on a trick some of my mentors in the aviation community taught me over the years. A long drill bit can be flexed to go around obstacles, or in this case, get down in a corner. Doing so allows full control and steering of the tip while drilling. This actually gives you a surprisingly high level of control, and I consider this to be a good technique to practice up on if sheet metal is something that you do often. It is possible, however, to side-load the bit and cause an oblonged hole, or even worse, snap the bit. So try this at your own risk. Practice on scraps before trying it on a critical airplane part. These blades happen to be the exact thickness of the aluminum floor supports. Double check before using it on your own. As you see here, I have these supports slid into place. One thing to note on the doubler, it's important to round the outer corner like the figure shows, or it just doesn't fit snug. Once I was happy, I transfer drilled as required. Next was the upper, or I guess middle longeron as RANS calls it, support or doublers. I've already done the right side here, but the next few clips will walk you through how I did the other side. All along the front edge of these skins, RANS supplies some aluminum stock to fabricate some stiffeners. Pretty straightforward, just cut them to fit, clamp them in the spots, and transfer drill to locate. You'll see I shimmed out the lower tabs a bit. These are in rough shape currently just for mock-up purposes and will be refined prior to final installation. I assume this is required here since I chose to locate the lower gussets on the inside of the lower attachment stack-up. In any case, the skins sit nicely with the cage tubes now, and I don't suspect any issues with further installs as I move forward, but time will tell, I suppose. I also jumped a bit forward and located the cage side skins since the aft row of fasteners go through these skin stiffeners that I just made. This is simply an effort to reduce the amount of times I have to take things apart and clean up and deburr parts. I also will flip the whole assembly over and locate the floor skin for the same reasons. Now when I take this back apart, I can clean everything up, give it all a primer coat of zinc chromate. RANS does suggest a coating of some kind on the aluminum at any location where contact with steel is present. This is to help fight corrosion in the future and is done in addition to the factory powder coating on steel parts. I'll also wet install the fasteners in these locations to ensure I've done everything I can to eliminate issues here later on. I'm going to call it here. We've made some good progress, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.